Not unexpectedly, we saw a slight rise in cases this last week, which I've talked about in previous videos. And that's related, it's a majority of them were students, but that's really, again, related that, midterms, first and second and third exams are over, and now people are feeling the need to socialize and interact and not taking the necessary precautions, and so they're starting to come down with the spread of the virus. Definitely, the guards are being let down. You can see it around town. You can see it when you go out in public. And even on campus, I think when you walk through some of the buildings, you're seeing some people who at the start would have their mask on in their respective locations on campus, starting to let that mask slip some. Getting this COVID fatigue where you feel like you constantly have to be vigilant and on guard is a bit tiring, and I get it. I'm in the same boat, just believe that. But that vigilance is the difference between you getting an infection or you spreading the infection, and then unfortunately a vulnerable person getting this infection and not doing as well as younger people or healthy people do. So, to the extent that we are saving lives or doing the best we can to avoid complications, we need to stay vigilant and stick with the program. Nationally, we're definitely seeing the wave that was expected in the fall. I think it came a little earlier than was originally forecasted. And we're definitely seeing it globally. If you're following anything internationally, you will see that Europe, including the countries that started off with a bang, like Italy and Spain and France, they're all having big spikes. They've all put in significant restrictions and mask wearing and other curfews and all sorts of stuff. So, and we're right behind them now. Normally we were about 6 or more weeks behind them. We are closer to them than we have been in the past. So we really need to hunker down if we're going to have a happy holiday season. There's no question in my mind it's going to happen in Alabama. Again, we had our run through the summer and the northern states got away. Now the northern and the Midwestern states are having their run. It's going to circle itself all the way back around Arizona, Texas, and across the South, including Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, the whole group. So I know it's the Halloween weekend and it's the LSU game. So everybody wants to trick or treat or have a good time. But again, please remember, the virus is just as contagious. It hasn't gone anywhere. It has one mission, and that is to find people who have not been infected and infect them. And I don't think this is a great time for us to be having a spike just before Thanksgiving, which then leads to just before Christmas. And the only way for us to mitigate this at the present time is to continue doing what works, and that is wearing your mask, physically, socially distancing, sanitizing your hands, and limit your gatherings with other people. Almost create a very strict social bubble. There are a lot of employees, faculty, and staff who believe because they were off campus, they don't need to participate in Sentinel testing. That's not really true, because just like we talked about the community being interactive, what we found is that some staff or faculty members who ended up getting the virus ended up getting it because of close gatherings or off-campus gatherings they were having with colleagues or family members or neighbors, and that's how it spread to them, and they in turn spread it to someone who's coming on campus. So it's one big community, and so we need to have a much better idea of what's going on in the community as a whole, even if you're on or off campus. So if you get chosen to come in to be tested and you're off campus, or if you did not sign up to be willing to be tested, I encourage you to do that. The whole purpose of Sentinel testing is for us to have an idea of what's going on in the community, get early warning signals that we can then react to and try to mitigate and prevent an all-out outbreak and a massive spread. That's the purpose of Sentinel testing. And if people aren't signing up, aren't showing up, and aren't getting tested in a wide enough distribution, we're losing that ability to find early cases and mitigate them. So the safest thing to do if you are a vulnerable individual or care for a vulnerable individual, you need to try to vote through another mechanism, whether it's mail-in or absentee, where you're not interacting with as many. But that may not be possible because of the logistics. But what is possible is the day that you go to vote, whether you do it through absentee ballot or in-person voting on November 3rd, you must take the precautions. You must wear your mask. And in many cases, again, for vulnerable people, that mask, you need to hold other people accountable around you to wear their mask properly, to keep a 6-foot distance from you and you from them, and sanitize your hands. If you don't do these things, then unfortunately the voting process can become a spreading situation. But that's not what we're hoping. As Americans, I believe we should exercise our right to vote, regardless of who or what you vote for, but you need to vote. But you need to take precautions because the virus doesn't care what or who you're voting for. All it cares about is whether you've been infected or not, and if it can find you.